These first-round draft picks will be franchise-altering selections. Stay tuned to find out which guys we think will set up their teams for massive success in 2025. Ryan, in your eyes, what was the best pick of the 2025 NFL Draft's first round?
I mean, funny enough, it was the last one, Joe. I originally sitting at the number 31 overall selection, Kansas City Chiefs make a trade back. Philadelphia Eagles wanted to come up one spot to get Jahad Campbell, but we all knew what the position was that the Kansas City Chiefs needed most. It was left tackle coming into this season. I mean, there's just not a viable option of a starting left tackle on that roster. But the question was, majorly just speaking, coming into this draft with the run of first-round offensive tackles early in this class, was there going to be one at 31 and now 32 that could come in and play for the Kansas City Chiefs? And I would argue they found the best one in Ohio State's Josh Simmons. Athletic, great movement skills. He fell due to a little bit of a medical recheck that some people were not overly optimistic about, but clearly the Chiefs were good enough with the state of that injury and with the state of the future, because now I think that they found the best true left tackle in the draft and a guy that can play for them immediately in 2025.
Yeah, and the funniest part about this is they're rewarded for being patient. They get to sit where they are, they get to trade back, and then still land with one of the best offensive tackle prospects in the class. And because their team is so good, they can be patient about reworking him into the lineup coming off of his injury. He's so smooth. He's got the best anchor. He was my highest rated tackle in this class, and I think that the reward is going to show up when he's there for 10 plus years protecting Patrick Mahomes for a very long time. My first pick that I loved was the Denver Broncos selecting Jahdae Barron. Barron, coming into this class out of Texas, was somebody who I was a little wary about if he went somewhere that didn't have a good corner room and was expecting him to play outside right away and to be their number one corner. But because they have Pat Surtain, because of the makeup of that cornerback dynamic, he can run in the slot and he can be super consistent and reliable because we know that he's such a good tackler. He's got really good instincts when the ball is in the air. I think that Jahdae Barron is going to take this defense from being really good in the strong suit of their team to one of the best in the NFL, maybe the best secondary right now in the league.
Well, I mean, you have Patrick Surtain, obviously, at one corner, who's one of the very best in the NFL, if not the best in the NFL. You have Riley Moss that showed signs, obviously, in his first year as a starter last year in 2024, and now you have a guy that's going to fit right into that nickel. I was talking to you about this before, Joe, but I did not have a great comp for Jahdae Barron. I really didn't, a player comp, but immediately after the Denver Broncos selected him, I'm like, Chris Harris Jr., this is what this feels like, right? A guy that can live in the slot, but is also smart and athletic enough to play on the outside in the right scheme, in the right specific packages. And I really like the possibility of what the secondary is going to look like, as I do with the Baltimore Ravens, who at pick number 27 just did what the Baltimore Ravens always do. They let value fall into their lap. They're able to draft Georgia safety, Malachi Starks, and now with combining that with Kyle Hamilton, who was also a tremendous value pick a couple years ago at pick number 14 in his respective draft, you now have potentially one of the best safety duos in all of the NFL for the foreseeable future. Much different player than Kyle Hamilton, great range on the back end, super twitchy, athletic, and he's going to allow a guy like Hamilton to move all over the place and be the dynamic weapon that he is as well.
I'm going to be direct. I think that this now is the best safety duo because you have an athletic freak in Kyle Hamilton that is a multi-use weapon. And the craziest part about this, I remember back to last summer, I said this to you on a different iteration of us working together. And I said that Malachi Starks is going to be a defensive back for a team that they can use him like Kyle Hamilton, the way that he can just be a headache for defense or opposing offenses where you can deploy him all over the place, move him all over, put him in coverage situations, have him play over the top, bring him down in the box. Now you have two players that can do that side by side. The Ravens always reap the rewards of just sitting and waiting and seeing who's on the board for them. They're going to have an insane defense to keep up with. My last pick that I really loved, this one's super underrated, Tyleik Williams ending up with the Detroit Lions, the defensive tackle from Ohio State. Now they're going to have to put the rivalry aside, him and Aiden Hutchinson, but we needed out of this draft class a guy who was going to free up Aiden Hutchinson, a guy who could be an interior rusher as well as a space eater on rundowns, and that is exactly who he is. He is the upside, the burst, the hand usage to be productive as an interior pass rusher, despite being such a big body. He could be a Dexter Lawrence type guy that ends up producing sacks in the interior, despite not being a player of the typical build that we look for a pass rushing defensive tackle.
And obviously it's big for Aiden Hutchinson, freeing him up a little bit more, having that threat inside, but also Jack Campbell running sideline to sideline at linebacker behind him. And I really think that this now becomes one of the more underrated defensive tackle duos potentially in the NFL moving forward, because you also have Aleem McNeil inside, who's a pretty dang good player in his own right. So I think that those skill sets mesh really well, and Tyleik Williams brings a floor to the table as a high-level run defender that the Detroit Lions obviously coveted in that spot.
Folks, comment below what draft picks you loved in the first round. Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.